Hello, everybody. I'm Mel Dorr, psychic medium and intuitive consultant, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I want to say hello to Linda Grindel. I'm so glad that she and her family are home safely after those horrible fires in California. I'm also excited to announce that I will be on her YouTube channel this coming Thursday, October the 8th, 2020. And we'll be talking about the debate results, between Harris and Pence. And by the way, I see Kamala Harris winning. You go, Kamala. And answering some of your questions. Linda's an amazing psychic, and I'm proud and honored to be a guest on our YouTube channel. So you all be sure and watch. On this video, I'm going to be talking about SCOTUS, COVID and Trump, and his blatant disregard for others. I think he used this whole thing as a photo op. And plus, I'm going to get to some of the questions that you sent in. So keeping that in mind, let's give it a go. When I heard that Trump had contracted COVID, I sent him healing energy as much as I disliked the man, because I did not want to put myself on his level. I won't go there. But the way he handled this, Donald Trump knew that he was infected or he had been exposed. Rather than calling off his tours, he went ahead and went to his golf club. He went to a rally in Minnesota. He went to a fundraiser, not even wearing a mask. It just goes to show how irresponsible and self-centered and sociopathic that he really is. When he got out of the hospital today, how about that joyride he took? Oh my God, didn't care who in the car he infected. Then he got out of the hospital today, and when he walked up to the White House and went up the steps, he had a mask on, took it off. He looked seriously out of breath. I don't guess he was sick enough to get the orange paint put on his face. He didn't care who he infected, and now they're saying they're not going to do any contact tracing. So my heart goes out to all those people that are infected and are going to become ill because of Donald Trump's irresponsibility. 200,000 Americans dead. Terrible, just terrible. And now what we're going to hear from Donald Trump, he's going to underplay it. You see, this COVID's not that bad. It didn't hurt me any. It was mild. I beat it. Don't be afraid of it. Go. We got to get the country going again. But he didn't realize, and I don't think he realizes, how poorly that makes him look. And I asked my guides that the whole way he handled this coming out of the hospital with COVID would hurt him politically. And the answer is resoundingly, yes, it will. It absolutely will. He just showed no compassion for anybody, except that his ego needed that feeding. And for him to use this whole thing as a photo op, I am sure, I asked my guides, if Donald Trump coerced the doctors, if he, in fact, had the doctors doing his bidding. I've never seen a case where somebody is on all those special drugs with COVID and they let them leave the hospital and go for a joyride and then discharge them. So I am sure that those doctors were told to say and do what Trump's administration wanted, lest they lose their jobs. And why is it that we're worrying about losing our health care insurance, and all these senators and everybody that's been infected get the best health care insurance, the top drugs, all right, this experimental antibody? Why didn't Trump put money into that to make that available to everybody else who had been infected with COVID? Oh no, it was just all about him. I predicted before, and I'm going to predict again, he will come crashing down hard. And I think this COVID thing is not going as easy on Trump as what they're saying. I think he's very ill still. And I was asking if Mike Pence would get sick, and I do see him getting a mild case of something. But for a long time, I've had a hard time seeing a long-term future for Donald Trump. And I'm having a hard time seeing one now. So he really needs to continue to watch his health. But the thing that's the most frightening about him is telling people, don't be afraid of COVID. It didn't bother me that much. Think of how many other people are going to have to die because of him. In fact, I'm seeing, my guide showed me that there were at least maybe 3 people around him. We know that many are infected, but that there are 3 people around him, like in his cabinet or his aides or something, and there are going to be at least 2 or 3 deaths of those people. In addition, there's more senators from the Republican side that are going to be infected because they have not worn masks and taking the precautions. And Spirit showed me that at least 2 Republican senators would die because of this COVID. You know, there's no forgiving being stupid. Ignorance just means that a person doesn't know the facts, but these people knew the facts. They didn't care. To me, that makes them stupid. What was it that Forrest Gump said in the movie? Stupid is as stupid does. Welcome to the age of stupid for some people. You know, I think Trump is also going to say that the whole COVID thing is fake news. You know, all the rhetoric that we've heard before, all the lying. You'd think that he'd be thankful that he's alive. Well, anyway, yes, there is karma, and he's paying his. I looked at the people who had been infected, and you know, I think they're calling that Rose Garden thing the Rose Garden massacre. And the thing that bothered me with this Amy Coney Barrett, she's the nominee for SCOTUS, and I think she had COVID or something, but she's got to watch because she's not out of the woods either. And she was there with no mask on. I think, you know, she's got children, 7. I think she adopted some. She was there with no mask on, shaking hands with other people. This woman is a nominee for the Supreme Court of the United States of America. And to me, that is a position of responsibility. There's no room for irresponsibility. And it was very irresponsible of her to be in that rose garden with no mask, then exposing her children to the virus. This woman claims to be so God-fearing and so conservative, you know, who's anti-abortion. She wants to take away our healthcare insurance. She should have taken away Donald's. And all the senators. How come when they get out of office, they get the best care? And we have to worry about them bringing back pre-existing conditions and being able to pay for our insurance. Here's this woman who showed total irresponsibility. Boy, if she shows that kind of irresponsibility outside the court, how responsible is she going to be on the court? Her hypocrisy amazed me. Somebody who's anti-abortion, supposed to be conservative and God-fearing, but yet had no moral compass about being exposed to COVID and the possibility of infecting other people. That one just fries me. Anyway, I'll get off my bandwagon. But I do see sickness around her too. A lot of you are asking if her nomination will be put through, and because of the COVID thing and all of that. And I do see delays with it, but there was I took notes here. There was I think, Ron Johnson, who's a Republican in Wisconsin, said that if he had to put on a biohazard suit, he would go and vote her through for SCOTUS. I think it'll be delayed because of the senators that are infected, but I still feel like she'll be on the Supreme Court. But here again, not to worry, because all this is going to come out about her even more. They're going to get more stuff on her that'll come out. For example, Linda Grindel sent me a text that this Amy Coney Barrett had, I think, lectured in front of these hate groups that were anti-LGBTQ. They were just this hate group. And supposedly, she said she didn't know that the group was that way. And then she got paid, but rather than return the money, I don't forget, she kept it. Um, so this is what's going on in the court. It's very frightening. I wonder when people like that claim to be so religious, when they die and they supposedly go to heaven and God said, how many LGBTQ people did you discriminate against? How many people did you that died because you took away their health care insurance? How many people did you infect with COVID? And you did it in my name? God's going to say, ain't no room here. Then when they get to the devil's going to say the same thing. Devil's going to say, ain't no room here. There is karma, yes. So I do think she'll be ramrodded through. But this is going to do a lot of damage to the Republicans for a very long time, very long time. But Trump is not a Republican. He doesn't care about the Republican Party. He doesn't care if he lies. All he cares about is staying in power, same as Mitch McConnell and some of these other people. At any rate, I predict, Spirit tells me, that Kamala Harris will win the debate. Yay. Spirit tells me that there's a couple members of Donald Trump's family who are going to become ill with COVID. Spirit shows me a death, like a death cloud around his family, a couple members. I hope that's wrong. There's going to be a couple, as I said, people around him, close around him, like on his staff, could be in his cabinet, that pass away from COVID. And more senators infected, in fact, many. Unfortunately, some of them will die. Seems like the White House has almost now become a breeding ground for COVID. So if you want to stay healthy, don't go near the White House. But when I tune into Donald Trump, Spirit showed me packed boxes. Whenever I see packed boxes, that always means a move. So Donald Trump is going to have to move out of the White House. January 20th, bye-bye, Donald. Unless they cheat on the election, which I'm sure they'll try any underhanded thing they can do to win. I mean, what's clearly important is that, they just have no boundaries. Even Melania, when she was infected, they didn't quarantine until they tested positive. And then when that leaked out, they had to. When Trump took that photo opportunity at the White House to walk up the steps, take the mask off, I'm surprised he didn't hold a Bible upside down like he did in front of that church. He made it all about Donald, at any rate. There are comeuppances. So I want to get to your questions. I promised that I would do this. So one of them, I said, do I see COVID-19 cases and deaths getting worse this fall and winter? And more stay-at-home orders issued, and this is by Sunflower. Well, Sunflower, my guide showed me that yes, there is going to be a spike of it this fall. And when some of the politicians told us that COVID was coming back in the fall, it never went away. I think people are getting too lax about masks and things like that. That's going to cause a spike. And I do see more shutdowns. Despite Trump is going to tell everybody that it won't. There's nothing to worry about. COVID's nothing. It's very, very dangerous disease. And the most unpredictable thing about the virus is that it's unpredictable. Now, another person asked, why do some people, when they get COVID, they don't get so sick, and other people get really sick and die from it? And my guides told me that there's 2 or 3 different strains of the virus. So some people get more of a milder strain, and it just causes maybe no symptoms or minor symptoms. Other people get another strain that causes more moderate. And then the severe cases, it's a really virulent strain of COVID. So I think there's different strains of the virus. That's what at least I intuit, and I feel that's what's going on. Somebody asked, and I think I've answered it already, will Amy Coney Barrett be confirmed for SCOTUS before the election? My feeling is, unfortunately, yes. I do see delays with it, but they're going to ramrod through. Somebody asked, will there be another presidential debate between Trump and Biden? People are thinking because of the COVID that maybe Trump won't do it. I think Trump's ego wants it. I think Trump's ego will never stand down. Anything he can do to be in the public, he's going to do. And people are asking me if he'll just quit the presidency or walk away from the White House. Trump never quits. He's always punching back. He's always punching back until he just gets, what's going to happen to Trump is happening already. He's going to drown in his own mountain of dreck that he's put forth. I see him losing many of his properties. Spirit shows me that. I see his name, like all the Trump towers. There's one here in Chicago. And a couple of years ago, Spirit showed me that being taken down and those letters just crumbling. So he's going to have massive losses in his properties. He can say goodbye to Mar-a-Lago because number one, who's going to want to go there for fear of getting COVID? That's going to bankrupt. Trump bankrupts everything, even this country. So because of his taxes and all of that, a lot of things are going to be confiscated. Bridget asked about the future of the Electoral College. Unfortunately, this election, it'll still be there, but at some point, I do think that there's going to be laws passed for the Electoral College because it's archaic and people will try to tamper with it. And I think it'll probably be direct election of the president at some point. I hope we'll see it within the next 4 to 6 years. So at some point, Electoral College will be gone. I think Becca asked if there's going to be clashes on election day. I do think in some states there's going to be people actively trying to keep voters away from the polls. In Texas, I understand that the governor is thinking about closing down the drop boxes. But the last I heard, isn't it illegal on the federal system to tamper with an election? So if he tries that, it might look as if he wins for a while, but he will not win ultimately, and he's going to be held responsible for that. William Barr, I see him getting ill with COVID. I do see him under indictment for lying to Congress, for collusion with the president to lie to Congress. Oh my God, conspiracy. So he's going to be in the slammer. But Bill Barr's health does not look good to me. I don't know if there's something with his heart or his lungs or his chest, but here again, I'm seeing dark clouds around him, which means illness. Linda wants to know, are any of Trump's children going to jail? I do see indictment around 2 of them. They will go, I think, but very, very briefly. I have a hearing problem. I just got new hearing aids. I don't have them in right now. I've always had a hearing issue. In fact, my dog Lucky is a service dog. She helps me with my hearing. She's a sweet dog. So somebody says, will there be advances to help people with profound hearing loss and deafness? This was by Dakota, and help in areas of employment. I do feel that they're going to be having some things they can do to bypass the nerve, because the auditory nerve many times is damaged. And so I don't know if cochlear implants would work for that, but something that they can just kind of plug into the brain, and so the brain can pick it up. I see that those kind of advances coming within the next 10 years. It's really going to be neat stuff. So it wouldn't cure deafness, but it would allow, with a certain device on both sides of the head, that deaf people would be able to hear. Maybe not perhaps as normally as most people hear, but they would be able to hear. So the answer to that question is yes, I do see technology coming to help with that. Susan asked, are there entities that are helping Biden to win? I think Biden has every positive spirit there is helping him to win. So I do think that he's getting some spiritual help. That's what my guides say. Somebody has to talk about developing psychic gifts. I'll talk about that in a later video. We'll get to that. I'm just going through the questions here. Let me see. Okay. People in Social Security, Tina asked, get a decent cost of living. You think 1% is a cost of living? I think under the Biden administration, the answer is yes, when the Democrats take power. I think, retirees will get a little bit more Social Security. And what I see coming at some point is going to be like when senators, when they're no longer senators, I think they get their salary for life and their health care insurance. And I think they're going to have to be like the rest of us. When they're voted out of office, get a job, pay for your own health care insurance. And they're going to have to be subjected to the same health care insurance we are. So I see legislation coming in that. I also see legislation coming for Supreme Court reform, legislation coming about the Electoral College, also legislation coming that limits the president's power to pardon, and legislation put in place so, if there's collusion with a foreign government to influence an election, lots of legislation forbidding that. Legislation saying that the states can't interfere in a federal election. That's a lot of legislation that way. With what Mitch McConnell did with the Merrick Garland confirmation, I think that's going to come before Senate hearings, and they're going to say it was unconstitutional. And so I wonder what they'll do with Gorsuch after that. I do see Kavanaugh off the court. And I think if this Amy Coney Barrett is nominated for the court, she too will be off the court. So, how long before Putin has, his tower moment? This is by Cynthia. I had predicted that Putin would be out of office, and I don't know by what means, but it's not good. So I'm thinking that Putin might be in power maybe 6 to 8 more years, and he will be gone. So, okay. I'm sorry. Oh, somebody asked Melissa, the U.S. education system post-Trump. Well, I think once that Betsy DeVos is out, it's sad in this country with our education system, we've created a nation of mediocrity. So I do see sweeping reform coming that way to bring every student up to par and really increasing our educational system so that everyone has the right to a free and equal education, at least on the grade school and high school levels. And I also see legislation coming saying that there has to be a limit as to the interest that they can charge on student loans, and also redefining that whole system to make it easier for people, who are lower socioeconomic strata to middle class, that they could get like grants and things like that to go to school. And if they work within a certain arena for 2 or 3 years after they're out of school, then those grants are forgiven. They don't have to pay that loan back. I went to school with something like that. So I see those coming back. So I think we're going to put a lot more emphasis on education, back to the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic, a lot of emphasis on education. So that's nice to know. Is there karmic debt? The answer is absolutely yes. We saw a small dose of that with Trump. We'll see a big dose of that with Trump a little bit later on. Will the information about the government's involvement with Russia come out before the election? I do think there's more explosive stuff, Spirit tells me, coming out before the election. But I think that once Trump is overthrown, once he's out of office, that there's going to be a lot more coming out. The Mueller report is just on the back burner. So that's going to be reignited. There's going to be a lot of investigations. If you think once Trump is out of office that this furor will die down a little bit, oh no. It's going to take years to undo the trouble that he has created for this country and years to clean up the aftermath of what he has done. So, sit back, buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride. Here again, I hope that I'm wrong about the senators that I see infected, more coming, more deaths around Trump, all of that. But, you know, there's an old saying, you got to pay the piper. I don't wish COVID on anyone, but at the same token, we can't afford to be stupid. We have, you know, Trump doesn't even listen to his own CDC guidelines. And that's very disturbing. It's all about his ego. At any rate, I hope I've answered some questions for you. Please watch on Thursday. I'm looking so forward to doing the show with Linda. And meanwhile, stay well. And from my dining room to yours, namaste.